Hi YouTube. I wanted to come on and make a video solely from my experience with the Mercury Retrograde this past month, the majority of July, and the very end of June. Mercury Retrograde was in my 10th house, and it was conjunct my midhaven. And when it turned retrograde the first day, I ended up having these really deep thoughts about whether or not I'm truly valued and whether or not I'm truly appreciated at my place of work. And during these thoughts, I was thinking about how it's taken me so long. So I've been asking to do order writing for a really long time, which is something that crew members, managers can do for any section. I've also been asking to be put on our sampling team, which took me about a year and a half. I finally did, but it took me about a year and a half of begging. And I've been asking to do order writing for about 2 years, and I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. And because of this, my feelings towards my job have changed. And I started going down a rabbit hole of, really uncovering things that I was avoiding, but I knew were true, but I was just avoiding it because I am kind of in a financial crunch because I cannot afford to leave my job right now. I can't. And I really started to think, sometimes I feel like I'm in a toxic relationship with my job. I all of a sudden became very depressed when I was there, and when I leave it'd be fine. And my productivity started waning and waning, and I was leaving early a lot more frequently, in the middle of my shift. And one of these days that I left early, I had this awakening where I was like, you know what, if I keep this up, I'm going to be fired. So it's funny because I turned back around after I had asked to leave, and I was like, hey, I am worried about being fired. I care about my job. I don't want you to think that I don't care about my job. I just have a lot going on, and I just don't feel appreciated by this environment. And when I was talking to the manager that I was talking to, she gave me a bunch of resources for mental health and stuff like that. And that was that. I went home, and I went into my next shift. Well, actually, no, the day after, because I was so burnt out and depressed, I decided to shorten the length of my shift. I was doing 8 hours full time, 5 days a week, and I went down to 5.5 hours. And the first couple of nights, that was probably one of the best things I could do. And then fast forward to tonight, or this last night. I think as I'm recording this and as it's being uploaded, it's the day tomorrow, but the 12th, July 12th, the night of July 12th, after we had closed, I was put into our store's beverage section with another coworker and to close it, and I completely botched it. I don't know what happened. I think I just really, this whole stress, everything just came to a head. And it's just a very toxic environment. And this Mercury retrograde has woken me up to that. It's woken me up to that like crazy, and I'm finally confronting things that I had always avoided confronting. My Chiron, whatever, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's the wounded healer of astrology. It just entered my 8th house, and it's in Taurus. And at the end of, I think it's next month, it'll retrograde and it'll go back into my 7th house of Aries until April of next year. And the 8th house represents, shared resources. Not wanting to... I'm trying to think of the best way that I can put this. Vulnerability. And in reality, I would be vulnerable if I left. And I know it's the best thing to do. I know that. My intuition tells me that. I know that that's the best thing to do. And, sure. I mean, like, I got kicked out in January, and I've been, on my own, doing it all by myself, and now it's July, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive if I leave this job, but at the same time, I know it's time to go. I have a new moon in 2 days in my 10th house on the 14th. It's time to go. This is no longer sustainable, and I feel like the universe, using this Mercury Retrograde, has used this to, kind of wake me up and force it and be like, this environment is no longer sustainable, and you've been ignoring this, but now you can't ignore it anymore because you need to align with your true path, with your calling. So I've been applying to a lot of jobs. I did a couple. I have a cover letter done, and I'm looking to work in the banking industry. And I think there's been a lot that's happened to. For example, 2 days ago, I got in trouble at work, and I had gotten in trouble for giving a family friend a discount twice. And mind you, I've been there 3 years. I have a perfect record. I've never been in trouble before for anything. That, on top of that, just kind of completely unraveled me, too. And I will admit, at the very end, I did think that me setting the boundary is what Mercury Retrograde was asking for. And I admit, I continued on thinking that I was okay. And that maybe, I just need to set boundaries. Even though, deep down, I knew that it was time to leave. I wanted to share my experience with Mercury Retrograde. I don't know if this video makes any sense. I am new to this. I know I say that a lot, but just, if there's anyone else who needs to know that right now, who is struggling with this, maybe in career, maybe in any other aspect of your life, this is what I went through, and it's supposed to align you with your true calling. Everything's gonna be fine. I don't know where I'm gonna go, and I'll admit, these past couple of weeks, with the last 7 months, have felt like an eternity. I feel like I've lived 3 years already, because my life has transformed in the last 6-7 months. I don't recognize myself at all, and I've woken up to a lot of things. And that's the beauty of life. It's gonna break you down. You're gonna get broken down. You can survive. There were days where I got super suicidal and didn't know if I was going to be able to survive, what I was going to do, what was going to happen, whether or not I was going to get fired, whether or not I was going to be able to pay my rent. During these last 7 months, I was very depressed. I felt alone. Sometimes I do still feel alone at this point. And that's not the way I want to feel, but I know it's supposed to be it's a teaching it's teaching me. And it's showing me where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do with my life. I've been seeing so many angel numbers. Like today, I saw 7979 while I was on parking lot duty. 7979 TY, thank you. And it was on a license plate, and I happened to look down and I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool. And that was, just kind of, that was before we had started closing, before all that stuff happened with the closing and the beverage aisle. So I do think that was a sign from the universe. Looking for angel numbers like that, repeating numbers. I tell customers who I'm ringing out a lot, whenever, because I do get a lot of customers who get the receipt of 60-60 or 45-45 or 30-30, like the repeating numbers on their receipt. That's an angel by your side, and that's good luck for you and for me. So it's those little things, and I've been seeing those angel numbers. I've been looking at it. I acknowledge it, but I also have to face reality. I know that this job isn't worth it. I know that this job is not going to help me. I cannot leave yet. I need to make sure that I have another job aligned. And I have a good feeling. I have a new moon in the 10th house, which is squaring my ascendant and descendant, and it's sextiling my vertex, which is in my 8th house. And vertex in astrology, for those who don't know, it's a lot to do with fate, point of no return. Now, I thought that was going to be the day that I'd get fired, because of the discount thing. It is possible that it may happen. I don't think it's going to happen. However, it's possible. And I've come to terms with that. However, I do believe that I'll be able to, whether it be like a job interview or whether it be like, a job offer, that's what I think it means. That's what I think is going to happen. There's a lot out in the air. I'm transforming. This weekend was so transforming. I haven't eaten. I've lost a ton of weight. I'm a wreck, but I'm also really thankful for this, and I'm really happy that this is happening now. That, I'm finally seeing my true worth and living myself, and I think that this is what this period is all about. Because I treated myself like shit. I never took care of myself up until now. I hated myself. I hated my hair. I hated the way I looked. I hated myself. And being on my own has taught me to, rely on myself, and that I am beautiful, inside and out. And it'll pass. Trying to undo what I was conditioned to do, what I was conditioned to think, what I was conditioned to feel, what I was conditioned to say from my childhood, and the impact of that. Unraveling everything in the past 6 months. Learning more about myself, my authentic, true self, and not caring about what other people think. And finally putting myself first in so many levels. I am so thankful for that. And, I genuinely am happy. I'm happy. Even though, I don't know what's going to happen, I have never felt this calm. I've never felt, this happy with myself and loving of myself. and being able to bounce back and taking care of myself and being nice to myself and, putting me first for once and not everybody else. It's amazing. It's amazing how much your life can change. It's amazing what I've learned about myself in the past 6-7 months. And, I know that this video is really random or, doesn't really feel like it has a structure to it, but what I want to do with these videos is really talk about what's on my mind, and hopefully whatever it is I say, whatever it is that I'm doing or, communicating or what's going on here resonates with somebody. Being authentic. Manifesting that. I manifest that whoever's watching this video, if this video pops up on your screen, that whatever it is I say, something in this video, that you stay till the very end, and that it resonates with you. I'm 20 years old, and I live in Massachusetts, where it's so expensive, but I'm managing to hold my own. I'm managing to be independent, financially independent, almost. The majority, yes, almost. But I'm also learning in some new ways to make money on the side, which has helped a lot. But, doing this all at 20, getting kicked out at 19, would have never imagined I'd be in the position I am right now. And I've woken up to a lot of things, and I will never trade it for anything. Everything happens for a fucking reason. I'm gonna end it here. I hope that somebody will find this video useful. Good luck. I hope that this will take off, and I hope that, I can make a difference in people's lives.